5, 4, 3. Hello, everybody. This is OG Happy Dude returning back again for my host shift. Hello, and you are watching. This is OG Happy Dude
NSG Spring 2026
for my host shift. And you are 3-day speedrunning event coming to you from
NSG
Yardroom, Germany,
Spring
just outside of Oslo.
A
Beer
3-day
raising money
speedrunning
event
event
NAPB, the Norwegian
Yardroom, Germany,
Association
just
outside of Oslo. The
Beer raising money to support NAPB, the
and partially
Norwegian
cited
Association.
Their main objective is to achieve equal opportunities and status in society for people with visual impairments. Their main objective is to achieve equal opportunities and status in society for people with visual impairments right now and other groups of disabled people. With Mario Kart DS right now
Hold on,
is
stop audio.
Saga. With Mario Kart DS.
Okay.
Hold on, there's stop audio.
Hello everyone. So I'm Saga. I'm a Mario Kart DS speedrunner. And we'll be showing
Hello everyone. So I'm Saga. I'm a Mario Kart speedrunner. And we'll be showing off the
our
Nitro
character combo we'll talk
today.
about in a moment.
Let me quickly get set up.
The 1. And this category consists of playing the first 16 races, starting from the figure 8 circuit, and we end at Rainbow Road. So I haven't got much to say here. So if you're ready, we can get started. So Lamps, are you ready?
I'm Sir Lampsalot, also known as Lamps, and I'm going to be helping commentate for this run. I'm also a Mario Kart DS player. I speedrun a couple of other games, but mostly Mario Kart DS nowadays.
Alright, so if we're ready, we can do a countdown.
Yep.
3, 2, 1, go!
Go. Alright, so we're starting out here on figure 8 circuit, and the main mechanic we're going to be abusing here is snaking. So as you see here, Saga is going to be drifting back and forth all the way across the track. You see Drybones' head keeps turning back and forth. He's doing left and right inputs in quick succession to charge these mini turbos at blazing speed, so he can get around the track as fast as possible. This allows him to keep essentially a boosting state through the entire track. And so this allows for one of the most powerful mechanics in all of Mario Kart, which we're going to have Saga explain right here.
Yeah, so this technique is known as PRB, which stands for Prolonged Rocket Boost. Basically, the way this works is you can get a perfect start boost, or you can drive over a boost panel, and this gives you a boost where you can go off-road. Now, if you abuse this boost by charging a mini turbo before it ends, you can extend this boost and allow you to go off-road for theoretically as long as you want. So it's really overpowered getting across parts of a track, especially off tracks with big off-road. It can be very powerful.
Yeah, and the startup boost, it's kind of precise to get a large enough one for you to start PRB. It's only a 3-frame window. And additionally, Saga had mentioned how you can get your PRB back by hitting a boost panel. This is known as PRB reset, and it's going to be useful on a few tracks. And we're wrapping up figure 8 circuit here. And we're going to be moving on to Yoshi Falls. Saga, take it away.
Yeah, so Yoshi Falls here has a big Yoshi egg in the middle, which you can already see on the minimap if you had looked at the start. But we'll show you this in a moment. See, there's the Yoshi egg. There was a Mario Kart Wii task speedrun a while back. I recommend you check it out. Where the player drives over the Yoshi egg and completes the lap. And if I remember correctly, it's 7 or 8 seconds. So around that time. It's a very cool one.
About right.
And I highly recommend you check it out.
And so another really important part of this run is going to be the items. Not only the items that Saga gets, but the items that the CPU gets. So you have 7 CPUs you're racing against, and they don't pose much of a challenge on their own, but the thing that really slows you down is the items that they pull. So shocks are an automatic time loss. Blue shells you can dodge, as long as you hop and are in the air while you're in a boost, but it's kind of precise. And you can do it on any sort of road on 150cc, but on the lower speed, it's a lot harder. But actually, the main culprit of the pain and suffering of these Grand Prix runners is red shells. Red shells are a lot harder to dodge because even if you have a back trail of like a green shell, for instance, or a banana, it's really hard to actually get that item item to block the red shell, because red shells have a tendency of hitting you from the side or even from the front. And then Saga, if you want to talk about some of the other items that are a pain for runners.
Yeah, so as we already talked about, we have the blue shell as well, which can also be dodged. There's also lightnings as well, which can shrink the players down to quite a small size, which also reduces their speed, which can be really effective when doing stuff like shortcuts and other mechanics.
Yeah, and then lastly are just the miscellaneous ground items that CPUs tend to drop on the ground, so like your bananas, fake item boxes, random green shells. If you get hit by one of those, that's also a time loss.
Now, the reason why I'm keeping a banana on me, as you can see here, is when a CPU throws a red shell, if possible, we should be able to break this red shell using the banana. Now, it doesn't always work because the red shell AI in this game is a little bit funky, where it will sometimes hit you from the side or even in front of you, which is very weird. I don't know why it's like that, but it's how it is. And as you see the bottom screen, there is a blue shell coming. But let's see if I can get to the finish.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that is Cheap Cheap Beach. And then one other thing I want to say is CPUs will also bump you around, because we're so fast, in fact, that we end up lapping the CPUs. And so these CPUs will bump you around, especially the heavier characters. Every character has a different weight stat, and that determines how much you get bumped around. So yeah, that's the main issue, is characters like Rob and Bowser are going to push you around a lot when you lap them. And then that actually explains why we use dry bones, because the other aspect of weight, not only how much you get bumped around, but also the speed in the off-road. So dry bones, because he's the lightest character, makes you the fastest in off-road. And we use the Egg 1 because it's also a relatively light cart, and it has decent speed, and it gets a very long mini turbo boost, so it allows Saga to chain these mini turbos here a lot faster, a lot easier, and keep boost the entire time, as opposed to a lot of other carts that might be a bit faster.
And there's the blue shell dodge.
There's Saga doing a blue shell dodge.
I'll probably explain that. So the way we do a blue shell dodge, I don't know if we have explained that.
We did a little bit, but you can go into more detail if you want.
So the way you do a blue shell dodge is you charge up your mini turbo, and before the blue shell smacks down on you, you want to basically hop to the side, and you should be able to dodge the blast of the blue shell, rendering it completely useless. So it can be very powerful in a lot of cases. Now, blue shell dodges are a lot easier to do when on slippery roads, so you want to take that fact. And there's also only a 10 frame window to do a blue shell dodge.
10. Yeah. Which is relatively lenient when you compare it to something like the 3 frame window for the startup boost, or some other strategies that are a lot harder. Yeah. So I think we have a little bit of downtime here. So I think if you've got any messages to read out, I think we're ready.
Ready? Do you want to support future NSG events? All of our revenue from ad subscriptions and cheers go to support future NSG events. So we welcome all your contributions towards helping NSG become bigger and better. Don't forget, if you happen to have Twitch Prime, you get a free subscription to a channel. If you'd like to support the channel and the event, go ahead and use your sub.
Yeah, so now we're on Desert Hills, and the main obstacle here is these pokies. So if you get hit by one of them, not only does your cart come to a complete stop, but often you'll end up like getting hit by the same pokey multiple times, and that makes things really difficult.
I unfortunately couldn't dodge that blue.
Yeah. Blue shells are hard to dodge when they're in weird sections like that. And so we are heading on to lap 3 here, and you can see these ground items I mentioned before are becoming more and more of a nuisance as the laps go on, and dodging the pokies is difficult.
We've also got these fireballs you also have to be aware of too. They get thrown down later on by a big sun in the sky. Don't know if you'll be able to see it, but you might be able to as we finish. Yeah, see, there's
yeah,
the
up to the right, top right corner. Yeah, up in the top right corner.
So now we're on to Delfino Square, which features a few cuts we can do, but we're going to be doing one of them.
Yeah, so the shortcut Saga is going to be doing here is the dev-intended mud shortcut, but instead of using a mushroom like the devs intended, he's just going to be going through it with mini turbos, and this is going to allow him to cut off a big section of the track. He's going to skip basically an entire corner. And here it is.
Yes, first try.
Clean execution.
We can.
And then.
Sorry, I'll let you go.
No, I was gonna say.
Apologies.
Yeah. So then the bridge here, it goes up and down at different times in the track. So you have to be mindful of when you're getting to that section of the track if the bridge is going to be up or down. And so that's also another important part, is a lot of tracks have like moving objects that create cycles that you have to be wary of when you're driving through the track. And additionally, in this section of the track right here, there's a shortcut we're not going to do because it's really hard. But, and here's the intended route that you should do if you don't have a mushroom and you're not Saga. Lucky boost panel grab. And here's Saga trying out a little bit of PRB at the end, just releasing a mini turbo a little bit too slow. But there's a shortcut that we don't do in this run that involves a technique called the super bounce, in which you bounce off of the railing with a frame perfect R press and get a ton of height and skip a big chunk of the track. You'd go off to the right here and skip like basically the entire mud section and the corner after it. Fun fact, prominent community member Puddings actually campaigned for this technique. Instead of it being called the super bounce, we instead tried to get it called the oingo boingo, which quite the interesting strategy name.
It's very hilarious. Shout out to Puddings for that.
Yeah, Puddings is great. And we are moving on to Waluigi Pinball. And so, Saga, if you want to talk about this track a little bit.
Yeah, so this track, we're technically safe from anything until on the first lap. But once we get into lap 2, as you can see, there's now a pinball behind us that will try to hit us down. And that was nearly a very unlucky red. So basically, we should be fine here until we get onto lap 2, where we have pinballs that we need to watch out for. Because if they hit us, it can also be very time loss. Can be a big time loss there.
Yeah, and so another thing that Saga is doing is, in order to watch out for these pinballs, he's not only just driving with the top screen, but he's also looking down at the bottom screen to see what items the CPUs have, what items are behind him, what moving objects like the pinballs. He's looking ahead and behind him. And so he's juggling all of this while also chaining really technical and fast mini turbos for essentially the whole race. That's what makes this game not only so difficult, but also so satisfying to pull off at the highest level.
Now, unfortunately, this is Mario Kart, so the CPUs will be getting whatever items they can, because unfortunately we had a blue shell and a shock, which is really unfortunate, but stuff like that will happen.
And this is the scariest part of the track, the pinball table, where these pinballs are constantly flying around and trying to kill you. And also these paddles, they electrify you and lose a lot of time if you hit them.
Yeah, so
this track, we talked about the super bounce before on Delfino Square, but there's another one on this track as well, where there's going to be a boost ramp coming up, and you would jump off to the left of it and super bounce over the invisible wall and skip all the way to the end of the pinball table. And I'll let you know where that shortcut would spit you out. So Saga's just driving around here, dodging any pinballs on the pinball table up ahead, and the shortcut would spit you out around here, and so it saves a lot of time. And so that's Waluigi Pinball.
Now on to Shroom Ridge, the final track of the Flower Cup, and move on to the Star Cup afterwards.
And so this track, the main aspect of the difficulty of this track is the cars that are driving around. So avoiding them and making sure you don't hit them is one of the hardest parts of this track, especially with how blind most of the corners are, especially in the tunnel you'll see coming up ahead. There is a PRB strategy on this track where you cut over that entire big patch of grass, and here's that tunnel I was talking about, and there are cars that come around this corner. And so you can PRB over a big section of that grass, but it's really precise, and only one person, Taiga, has ever done it on all 3 laps. And so it's one of the hardest strategies in the game to be done at the highest level.
And there's a blue shell, I think. I just heard it.
Mm-hmm. So not only does Saga use visual cues with the bottom screen for blue shells, but he also uses audio cues of hearing the blue shell being thrown. Saga, if you have anything else you want to say about like items or audio cues, then take it away.
Yeah, one thing I don't think we've talked about yet. So when we get anything like a fake item box or anything that we cannot use to block items, we get rid of it immediately, because unfortunately, we cannot use this to block shells, as the fake item boxes, when they hit them, it's acted like it's not a solid. So unfortunately, it won't block any items. I didn't charge up in time, unfortunately, so I couldn't dodge that.
Yeah. I think we have a little bit of downtime here before DK Path starts, so if you have a short little message you want to say, then we're ready for that as well.
We would like to thank UKSG for supporting this marathon. They hold in-person events in Glasgow, Scotland 3 times a year and have supported us from the very beginning. Their next event is UKSG Green 2026, which will happen May 28th through the 31st. You can catch it live on twitch.tv/UKSG Marathon.
Cool. Actually, Saga is going to be running in that as well. But now we're moving on to DK Pass, the first track of the Star Cup, and this track is home to one of the most infamous item boxes in the entire game. So you'll see in a moment, we are going to start driving near a mountain, and at the top of the mountain is an item box. This item box, no matter what place you're in, this item box up here always contains either a star or triple mushrooms. And in rare cases, I don't know the exact probability, but in rare cases it holds triple reds. This is the only way you can get a star in first, is with that particular item box. Saga, if you have anything else about this track you want to say?
Yeah, there's also obstacles on this track we have to watch out for. So there's random snowmen that will be on the road here we can avoid, like there. And also a blue shell. I couldn't dodge that. And there's also snowballs that will be falling from the mountain occasionally, so we need to be watching out for those as well. There are cases where getting hit by these snowballs can even throw you off the track, so you want to be really careful. And this is one of the tracks where even it's kind of hard to play due to how like bumpy the track is, if that makes sense. Like this track can be really bumpy, so it can be hard to play like most of the time. So like halfway through this track it can get harder to play due to how the terrain is done in this track. So I'll hand over to you, Lamps, if you want to say anything else.
Yeah, I think the other thing is this is another track where ground items tend to be particularly annoying. Ooh, just barely missing the blue shell dodge. But I think that visual gives a really good idea as to what you're trying to do. But the idea of this track being so bumpy also gives you so much less control when you're trying to dodge ground items like fake item boxes and bananas, that this is one of the worst tracks for that sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened there.
I don't know either. That's a new one. I've been playing this game for 2 years now.
That's the first time I've ever done that.
Yeah.
So now we're moving on to TikTok Clock, which has quite a few things we will be talking about for this track.
Yeah. So this track is home to probably some of the most moving parts of any track in the game, excluding like car tracks like Mushroom Bridge and Shroom Ridge like we saw before. This track has the clock hands on the first section, the pendulum here, as well as these 4 moving gears, but you have to take in the correct direction in order to get bonus speed, like Saga is doing here. So the first lap you want to go left, right, but then on laps 2 and 3 it's going to be right, left. And then you have the clock hand we just passed by, and these 2 spinning gears up here where you want to take the clock.
I cannot go on that one. We can do it next.
You want to go.
Yeah.
You want to go on the gear that goes in the correct direction, in order to gain more speed. But if you go on the wrong side, then you lose speed. So Saga, if you want to explain that in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, so basically, if you charge up your mini turbo and jump over the gear that's moving at your speed, like, I don't know how I would explain it, like...
In the same direction you're moving.
Yeah, the gear that's moving forwards, basically. If you charge a mini turbo and then jump over it like this, if you do it correctly, you can get a good steep speed boost from it, and it can be quite time-saving as well. So it's one thing I recommend going for.
So yeah, we're just finishing up TikTok clock here. CPUs are being kind of benevolent towards us, and so we are just finishing up these last gear sections and dodging the clock hands, and we should be ready to move on to Mario Circuit.
Now this is the first track where we could actually take advantage of PRB, so hopefully I can get it right.
Yeah. And so Saga here lands the perfect startup boost, and now he's going through the off-road. He was going through the off-road with no penalty thanks to the prolonged rocket boost, or PRB. And he was able to cut off the entire first corner. Ideally, you can hold it all the way through the track, even past this point. But Saga unfortunately missed a mini turbo and went a little bit too slow and ended up losing PRB. There is a little shortcut here you can do where you hop off of a wall.
Should I go for it? I can go for it.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it. Lap 2.
I'm not very good at this, so please don't be surprised if I don't end up getting it.
Yeah, but basically you abuse a slightly sloped polygon up against a wall, and it allows you to get a ton of airtime such that you can actually go over the wall cleanly and actually skip a very tight corner, which we'll see in a moment.
And that was a really bad bullshit.
And so the existence of this also allows you to go out of bounds in a very roundabout way, and it allows you to end up on the driveway of Peach's castle over here on the right. So here's Saga attempting to cut, and he got the high hop, but just barely couldn't get up onto the wall. And
could go for it lap 3 if I really need to.
Yeah, give it a try for the fans. But the existence of this wall hop and being able to go out of bounds without getting respawn has spawned a little side category called Castle Percent, where your objective is to use that wall hop shortcut to actually get onto the driveway of Peach's castle as fast as possible. You can see over here on the right. And here's Saga trying it and hopped a little too early. Yeah, but it's a very cool shortcut for those who can pull it off. And so we are moving on to the final track of the Star Cup, Airship Fortress.
And after this, we'll be on the final cup, which is the Special Cup.
Yeah. So Saga, if you want to talk about Airship Fortress at all, go right ahead.
Yeah. So the first thing we see here, we have these bullet bills being shot out by this airship. We have to avoid these as much as we can. We also have the moles. Once we get onto the airship, we have these moles we need to avoid too. There are a lot of obstacles.
They're rocky wrenches.
I call them moles anyway, okay?
No, it's just a running joke.
It's just how I prefer to call them. I call them moles, rocky wrenches, whatever. There's also there's also a big laser, like fire looking thing. Don't know how I would call it. That's also at the end of the airship before we go on the boost panel to come back to this tower here.
Yeah, the fire bars are definitely... That's another cycle-based element that tends to ruin a lot of good paces. This track actually has a lot of very interesting history, especially in the earlier days of the game's life. So this track actually gained the notorious title of Australian Fortress because of Australian player Dylan having the world record here for so long and being so dominant on this track. So it earned such an interesting nickname as Australian Fortress. And so I think we have a little bit more downtime here. So if you have another quick message you want to get off, then I think we should be good for that as well.
We would also like to thank BSG for their continued support. If you live in or near the Benelux region, then the folks at BSG have got you covered, with regular events held in the Netherlands. Their upcoming event, BSG Annual, will be held from January 25th through August 4th at... Oh, I should have read this in advance. Neo EAN. And it's streamed live on twitch.tv/BSG Marathon, so mark your calendars. Now, if you excuse me, I gotta go phonetically break down this word again.
Next track is Wario Stadium.
And we are starting the Special Cup. So this track also has another strategy revolving around PRB reset, which we had spoken about before, where you use this boost panel coming up in order to skip essentially the entire track worth of off-road. But the second and third sections of it are really hard to pull off. So most people just try and skip those two big ramps we just went past, and it saves a good chunk of time. But you can, in theory, use it to skip all the way past this ramp. There's also a respawn shortcut off to the left here, where you can basically skip this entire corner and land down here with a respawn by jumping over the hill and landing out of bounds. And it's actually a really fun shortcut to hit. If you opt not to take the shortcut in that section, then the section with the 5 hills near the end, there's a way for you to skip those as well, using a technique graciously named the K-Mac Hill Clear Supreme, named after Kevridge, aka K-Mac, a player from a long while ago. Anything else you want to say about this? Here's Saga attempting the K-Mac Hill Clear Supreme, just falling short. Saga, if you've got anything else to say about this track?
I don't really have much else to say, but we do have another blow shell coming, so hopefully I can dodge this one. Oh, this might be bad. Yeah, I was not dodging that.
Yeah. But yeah, blue shells can show up in particularly tricky spots that can make dodging them easier or harder. It depends on where in the track it shows up. Is there anything else you have to say?
Not really. And I don't know where the heck that came from, so...
Yeah.
Just short again, unfortunately.
Yep, and we're wrapping up Wario Stadium here, and we're ending up in Peach Gardens.
Just in time, because I just saw Daisy got a shock.
Anything you've got to say about Peach Gardens here?
Not at the moment, no. So I'll hand over to you if you have anything to say about it.
Yep. Peach Gardens is a really interesting track because you have these flower beds that slow you down, but you can hop over as much of them as possible to save time. And then also these chain chomps are in your way the majority of the race in the hedge maze section. Additionally, there's a peace sign which we just got past, which makes things very difficult to get through in the fastest way possible. But other than that, it's a relatively straightforward track. This corner up here is so wide that it's faster to just cut through the off-road even if you don't have a mushroom, just because you can MT through it.
Oh dear.
And it just saves so much time. If mini turbos weren't so powerful, we would probably be getting triple mushrooms at the start of the race and try and just cut through that corner all 3 laps.
Unfortunately, I'm getting blue shells in the worst areas possible, so I haven't been able to dodge a lot of them.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's been like, how many shocks have there been this run? There's been about 1, I think. 1.
2, I think.
Yeah, we're actually going really good.
Yeah, the shock count's not too high this match so far.
Oh dear.
And so we're just wrapping up the last little bit of Peach Gardens here, and we'll be heading over to Bowser's Castle. Unfortunately, this track doesn't have any game-breaking shortcuts like some of the ones I've mentioned before.
That's
so
a
it's
lot
just about
of green
driving
shells.
as fast as possible. It is a lot of green shells.
There was about 4 there. Could have really done something.
Yeah. So yeah, we're moving on to Bowser's Castle. If you have anything to say about this track.
Yeah, there's a big spinning wheel at the middle of the track. We'll show you in a moment. This is also home to a bunch of thwomps who will try and cross us, and even these fire bars again, like we've seen in Airship Fortress. So we tend to try and avoid those. Now it's possible to mini turbo on here as well, but it's very hard. But I'm going to try to. Actually, I don't think I can. No, it's way too risky.
Yep.
There.
Yeah, we'll attempt it next lap.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Because if we fall down into the other section, it can be quite a time loss if we fall there. So we tend to be as much careful as we can.
Yeah. This track is a very small shortcut that you can only do on lap 3, which we'll show you at the end of the race. But it allows you to cross the finish line from the out-of-bounds section. So then you can skip basically the entire last corner and cross the finish line a lot faster.
Oh my goodness.
And
What?
here's Saga out here getting hit by all of his own items.
And there's also another
first-
blue coming, so I may get hit on the spinning wheel. Oh dear.
And here's what happens if you fall off of the spinning wheel.
You basically will be put into this lower section, so it will lose a few seconds of time. And the blue shell seems to have lapped us instead of hitting us, which is a good thing. But then it will return.
This gives us more,
So
this gives us more time to prepare for when the blue shell inevitably arrives. And so we're just going up the castle, dodging the blue shell.
that was a really good one.
I didn't even think you could dodge the blue shell on those stairs.
No, that was actually really clean.
That was the absolute cinema blue shell dodge, and we're gonna see if we can get some mini turbos off on this pipe.
Unfortunately not.
Commentator's curse, I guess. So we're taking the lower road again, and this will set us up for the moving platforms into the last section of the track, where you will see the grand leap that Saga is about to attempt.
Lamps, don't jinx it. Unfortunately, I had the blue shell, so I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
We'll just do something
Dodging
funny
the blue
there.
shell. Yeah, for sure. Normally, you would hop in the yellow striped section right before the 2 arrows, and you would jump off and land by the finish line and save a good chunk of time. But now we are moving on to the final track of the run, Rainbow Road. Saga, I'm sure you've got a lot to say about this track.
Yeah, so there are 2 shortcuts on this track that one I'm not going to be doing because obviously it's really difficult and can throw the run. And there's also another shortcut which we will be doing at the 2nd lap and the 3rd lap. So this will be the pipe shortcut, which basically goes over the pipe and skips this section of the track here, and it throws us, Lakitu will throw us onto this loop here, which skips a good portion of time. It's well worth going for. So we're going to do it lap 2 to hopefully we don't have CPUs on our hands, because unfortunately the items can make a big difference. I'll head over to you, Lance.
So long as we don't get shocked, then we can drive to a certain section of the track to hit an important checkpoint, and then turn around and do a mini turbo over next to this pipe and essentially dodge all of the out-of-bounds planes to
Wow.
Ooh, really unfortunate red shell timing.
I could try it again. Actually, notice.
Yeah, give it another go.
Actually, no, the CPUs are right behind us.
Yeah, so we'll try it again on lap 3, but essentially you jump near that pipe and you dodge all of the out-of-bounds planes and land where this section's out-of-bounds is. So then the track essentially attempts you to respawn you right before the nice blue
That's
shell
another
dodge.
blue shell dodge.
Yep, and so essentially the track respawns you right before the corkscrew section. So we are starting up the lap 3 spiral, and if there's any closing remarks you want to give for this run, now would be the time, Saga.
Yeah, so now we're going to give the pipe shortcut a shot before the end of this race. I do want to see if I can get it at least once. Okay, just setting up now. Unfortunately, no, I went too far to the left.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, he couldn't make the pipe shortcut, but it's a shortcut that's done in a lot of runs.
Don't worry, I've done it before. I promise.
Yeah. Yeah, I've watched him do it before. But yeah, no, this is a very interesting track from a speedrunning perspective, just because of how many shortcuts and how many little techniques there are. Like if you, for instance, if you spam R on those loops, you go faster.
So we'll be calling up time. No, time.
Time.
All right. So that was Mario Kart DS Nitro Cups. So Lamps, if you want to say anything before we obviously head off.
Nope. Yeah, no, I don't think I have anything else to say. It was definitely a lot of fun doing this run with you, and I think shout out to the Mario Kart DS community. They're so helpful. I've only been here for about 2 years, and they've shown me so much love and support. Yeah. Shout out to all of them. I'm sure some of them are here in chat right now.
I would like to thank NSG for having me on stream today. I really appreciate it. And I would also like to thank you, Lamps, for commentating as well. And I'd also like to thank OG Happy Dude for being host today. If you have any more messages you'd like to read out before we head off.
Well, number one, I have never seen a Mario Kart DS run before. So with this being my first introduction into the speedrunning side of the franchise, it was awesome. And congratulations on your run. Is there any places that anyone can find y'all at?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/saga2k9. I do stream regularly. Not a lot, but I do stream speedruns regular of this game. You can also find Lamps' Twitch at twitch.tv/SirLampsalot1, which he also streams Mario Kart DS and a bunch of other speed games. I'll highly check him out as well. He's a really good guy.
Once again, GG's on the run. Now, when we come back from this quick intermission, we're going to be on the last run of day 2 of NSG Spring 2026. Selkuth Mine returns with Blueprints B-Quest Bingo. See you on the other side of the break.
See you later. Have a good one, guys. And thanks.
For the last several years, NSG has benefited Norges Blindeforbund, the Norwegian Association of the Blind and Partially Sighted. One of their amazing works is the training of guide dogs. How about we take a sneak peek inside? Guide dogs start their journey at the very beginning. So little, so innocent. And many of them will grow up to become the confident dogs that will guide the people that need them. Every donation we bring in helps these good boys and girls get one step closer to reaching their potential. All these dogs are ready to help. And cats, too?
Service dogs, it's very important. They're used to other animals, so the cats are here just for socialization for the dogs.
Well, that's even better then. Please, if you can, donate to this amazing cause.